Hello there, kia ora. Last night, One News released its first Kantar opinion poll in quite a while, and I've said in the past when it comes to opinion polls, it doesn't matter if I like the outcomes or not, that they're really good for measuring trends, but specifics aren't the sort of thing that you should get overly excited about because it is quite changeable. But we can see trends through these polls. And the trend on this particular poll is really not good for our right-leaning government. It has them in a really bad position, so bad that they couldn't form a government if an election result was based on those particular polling numbers. And it seems to have come as a little bit of a shock to some people. Like, you just have to go through the comment section of the Facebook post on One News to see a whole bunch of people having completely sane, normal reactions, like calling the poll fake, wondering who gets to vote in opinion polls, and saying something like Mikey Sherman's last name has the word man, so must be something to do with trans rights. Like, generally speaking, these people are clearly upset and not thinking very well, ever. But I thought I'd try and help them out today by showcasing to them some of the things that have made this one of the most unpopular governments that we've ever seen. I mean, it's so unpopular that its polling at this point in the election cycle only matches of past governments that have been kicked out at the next election. It's kind of depressing for them, really, if you think about it that way. But hey, trends, like I said. Anyway, let's take a look at some of the news that's actually made headlines in the last, I don't know, 24 to 48 hours. So maybe we can glean some kind of understandings for those poor people who are upset in the comments section. Like this piece here where David Seymour said he would burn the coalition to a ground if the Prime Minister tried to do anything as audacious as discipline rogue MPs who don't do what they're supposed to do as part of their job. Hey, that might explain why Casey Costello still has a role after openly lying to Cabinet. Or Shane Jones, for that matter, or even David Seymour, because, well, he's just told us the Prime Minister can't actually do anything to control his own cabinet because he's made up of a coalition of people who won't allow him to do that. Yeah, that bodes really well. Or the fact that one of the National MPs, Simon O'Connor, who was like, meh, News Hub shutting down, has told people that they should go out and give money to reality check radio because they're in a fundraising drive and, freedom of speech. But also, maybe not give money to people who platform neo Nazis and white supremacists on a regular basis. But that's okay because Simon O'Connor's like, you know what, freedom of speech, cool, good for them, I guess. Or the weird interview that happened yesterday morning on Hosking with Erica Stanford. Did you know she's our Minister of Education? I mean, all we hear is David Seymour talking about education as the Associate Minister, but she's the one who's actually got the portfolio. And she was telling people that the phone ban is already a huge success in schools, and that's the feedback they've been getting. Except the phone ban only came into place yesterday after she did that interview, which means that what she was really going off wasn't empirical data, it was vibes. Cool, a government that runs things on vibes. That that I'm sure is not going to go poorly in any shape, way, or form. But yesterday afternoon, she also stood up and told people what they plan to do in terms of education. And a whole bunch of it's like, we're going to follow the science and research and look at the best outcomes for education while we're partnered up with two coalition parties that don't want to deal with something like RSE, which has amazing outcomes according to the reviews that have been done on that particular process. So yeah, that makes us really trust what it is that they're saying. Or the really weird interview yesterday with creative sector spokesperson that was like watching somebody getting their teeth pulled without anesthetic. It was terrible. Now, Steve Bronias is an interesting guy. I've met him a couple of times. I saw him once invite the Tamakis out for lunch to a group event just so he could make fun of them. And so I know what his sense of humor is like. And this, I wish, was satire, but there were some really, really painful parts in there, like him not being able to name a single New Zealand author or being able to say any kind of poetry he's read beyond a couple of pieces of Tusiata Avia's, which he obviously didn't like because she was mean to Captain Cook, but free speech, I guess. And the fact that the last thing he saw that was really creative was the musical Hamilton in New York a number of years ago. Oh, what about the fact that Paula Bennett has been made the head of Pharmac? That doesn't reek at all of nepotism in any shape, way, or form. No cronyism, obviously, on show here, unlike when they put Bill English in charge of an organization that makes money off state homes for people with special needs. Or is it Jerry Brownlee for, I think it was building sector stuff, getting $4,500 a week? Like, it's cronyism. Yeah, It's clearly not a thing. Or Tanya Unkovich from New Zealand First showing up on Reality Check Radio's Twitter feed talking about things like the WHO and the people's terms, their faux bullshit thing about the COVID inquiry, or geoengineering and all the rest of that kind of crackpot bullshit. She's an MP and she's showing up on this radio station that, as I said before, platforms white supremacists and neo-Nazis. Or even the fact that today's counter on stuff in terms of public service layoffs has finally peaked at 3,500 people. That's 3,500 people out of jobs, so the government can pay for tax cuts that the public don't want that, again, tend to go towards people with lots of money or landlords, because apparently that's their priorities. It doesn't matter what those people's jobs actually are. Nobody seems to be asking them what are the jobs that these people are doing, and it's how you end up with situations like Oranga Tamariki not having lawyers in certain parts of the country, because people don't ask those questions. So for those poor people who are sad and upset in the comment section about last night's poll results, like I said before, it's all about trends. But the trend that we're seeing is that our government's run by a bunch of muppets who don't actually know what it is to lead, other than to tell other people what they can and can't do, especially their bosses. It's a really strange situation, to be honest, but it also completely explains why people don't like what they're seeing. People are getting hurt, conspiracy theories are being fueled, and cronies are getting jobs from other cronies. It's not really the situation that bodes well for people to trust the government that we've got at the moment. But don't worry, I'm sure there'll be another opinion poll along at some point in time that will upset you just as much. I guess I just have to do another video then.